channel. Welcome to episode 10 of our NGS Bioinformatics Master's course. In the previous episode, we downloaded raw NGS data from NCBI SRA, looked at the FASTQ file, and learned about sequencing quality and FLIT quality score. Today, we are going to take the next important step. We are already have our FASTQ file, but before we use this file for downstream analysis, we need to ask one important question. Is our sequencing data good enough for analysis? To answer this question, we use FastQC. Today, I am going to open a real FastQC report and explain the important graph one by one in very simple language. So let's start. On the left side, we can see the summary section. FastQC check different quality parameters and give us three type of results. Green means pass, yellow means warning, and red means fail. But remember one very important thing. A red result does not automatically mean that our entire sequencing data is useless. We need to open that particular module, understand why it is failed, and then decide what action is required. So instead of simply looking at green, yellow, and red, we should understand what each graph is actually telling us. So let's start with basic statistics. This is the first section I always recommend checking. Here FastQC give us some basic information about our FastQ file. We can see the file name, we can see the file type, which is a conventional base calling format. We can also see the encoding we used for the quality score. Then we have the total number of sequences. This tell us approximately how many reads are present in our FastQ file. We also have the sequence length. In this dataset, the read are approximately 301 bases long. And finally, we have the GC percentage. GC means the percentage of guanine and cytosine bases in our sequences. So basic statistics give us a quick overview of the FASTQ file before we start looking at detailed quality graph. Now we come to one of the most important graph in FastQC, per base sequence quality. This graph tells us the quality of sequencing at every position of the read. Look at the bottom. This is the this is the position in the read. For example, position 1 means the first base, position 2 means the second base, and so on. On the y-axis, we have the FRID quality score. We learned about FRID quality score in the previous episode. Remember, higher FRID score means higher confidence in the base call. The background is divided into three regions. The green regions represent good quality, and yellow region represent moderate quality, and last red region represent poor quality. Now look at our graph. For most of the read, the quality is very good and remains in the green regions, but toward the end of the read, we can see that the qualities start decreasing. The boxes and whisker also become wider. This means that the quality become more variable toward the end. So this graph is telling us something important. Most of our read is high quality, but the quality decreases towards the end of the reads. This is very common in many sequencing datasets. Later, we may need to remove low quality bases from the end using a trimming tool like Trimgal or Trimomatic, etc. Next, next we have per tile sequence quality. This graph look a little different. It check whether sequencing quality is different across different physical location of a tile on the sequencing instrument. In simple words, we can think of the sequencing machine as having many small areas where sequencing takes place. Fast QC check whether one particular area of the flow cell in producing unusually poor quality reads. In our report, this module is marked as fail. But don't panic when you see this. It means fast QC detected some tile level variation. We need to consider this result together with the other quality metrics. This is why we should never judge the entire dataset from one graph alone. Next, per sequence quality score. Now we have per sequence quality score. This graph answers a slightly different question. Previously, per B sequence quality asks how does quality change at each position of the read. Here we are looking at the overall average quality of individual sequence. Look at the x-axis at represent the mean quality score of the reads and y-axis represent how many sequences have that average quality. In our dataset, most of the read are concentrated towards the higher quality score. That is good sign. So even though we saw some quality decreasing toward the end of the read, the overall quality of most read is still high. This teaches us an important point. Different fast QC graph answer different question. We should always interpret them together. Next is per base sequence content. This graph shows the percentage of each nucleotide ATG at every position of the reads. Ideally, depending on the library type and experimental design, we expect the nucleotide proportion to behave reasonably across the read. But in our graph, the four lines show the considerable variation. That why FastQC has marked this module as failed. Now, does this automatically means that the sequencing data is bad? No, the interpretation depends on the type of sequencing experiment. For example, some specialized libraries, targeted sequencing, amplicon sequencing, our other experimental design can naturally show biased basis composition. So we should always interpret this graph according to our biological experiment and its library preparation method. This is a very important relation in bioinformatics. FastQC give us a warning signal. We still have to understand the biology behind the data. And next, per sequence GC content. GC means guanine plus cytosine. This graph shows the distribution of GC content across our sequencing read. FastQC compares the observed GC distribution with an expected distribution. In our report, the observed distribution is different from the theoretical distribution, so FastQC has marked this body as a fail. Why can this happen? There can be several reasons. It may be related to the biological sample, the type of library, sequencing biases, or contamination. So again, we should not immediately conclude that the entire dataset is unusable. We need to understand the experiment and compare this result with other quality control metrics. Next, we have sequence length distribution. This graph tells us how long our sequencing read are. In our dataset, the read are concentrated around the expected read length, approximately 301 bases. This is useful because we want to know whether our read have unexpected lengths. For example, if we expect a read of one particular length, but suddenly we many very short sequences that could indicate trimming, processing, or other issues. So this graph helps us confirm that the read length looks as expected. Next is sequence duplication level. This checks how many times the same sequence appear in our datasets. If many reads are exactly or almost exactly identical, they are considered duplicate sequences. Our reports show a relatively high proportion of duplication, but they module but the module itself is marked as a pass. Again, duplication is not automatically a problem. Some experiments naturally produce highly abundant sequences. For example, highly expressed RNA transcript can produce many similar reads, so we should interpret duplication according to the experiment rather than assuming that every duplication is an error. Next, overrepresented sequence. FastQC checks whether particular sequences occur much more frequently than expected. Our report gives a warning for this module. The table shows some sequences that appear repeatedly. Why can this happen? It can be caused by highly abundant biological sequences, adapter sequences, primer, or contamination. So this section can give us a clue about whether something unusual is present in our reads. We should investigate these sequences before continuing with downstream analysis. And last, adapter contents. Finally, we have adapter content. During library preparation, short adapter sequences are attached to DNA or RNA fragments so that the sequencing machine can process them. These adapters are useful during sequencing, but they are not part of our biological sequences for but they are not part of our biological sequences of interest. If adapters remains in the final reads, they can interfere with downstream analysis. FastQC check whether adapter sequences are present. In our report, the adapter content module is marked pass, which means FastQC does not detect a significant adapter content problem according to its threshold. That's good. So now let's step back and then understand our complete FastQC report. We have seen that some modules are green, some are yellow, and some are red. But the most important lesson is don't simply count the green and red mark. Understand what each result means. For example, our per base sequence quality is good, most most of the read but decrease towards the end. Our per-base sequences contain NGC content shows unusual pattern. We also have some overrepresented sequence. At the same time, our adapter content result is good. So what do we? So what do we? So what do we do next? We use these results to decide whether our FASTQ file need quality trimming using Trimomatic, our Trimgallo tool before downstream analysis. And this is exactly where our next step begins. In today's episode, we learn how to read a fast QC report step by step. We learn basic statistics per base sequence quality, per tile quality, per sequence quality score, NGC content, etc. If you are a beginner, don't worry. If you cannot remember everything in one video, the goal is to understand the logic. FastQC, if you have FastQ file, then check quality control of raw data and identify problems, pre-processing the reads, and last continue with NGS analysis. In the next episode, we will take the next practical step and learn what to do when our read content low quality bases our other unwanted sequences. We will learn about quality trimming and preprocessing of FASTQ file. If you are following this course from the beginning, make sure you subscribe to Sara Bioinformatics YouTube channel and continue learning step by step. Thank you for watching Sara Bioinformatics YouTube channel. See you in the next episode. Happy learning and keep exploring bioinformatics. And last, so please, if you have any doubt, any questions, so please write in the comment box. Thank you so much.